Hello, welcome to my very first YouTube video. Sorry, this is kind of a weird setup because I'm on my phone. Tom is on a meeting in the other room, and I also don't have a microphone because I'm just getting started, so you know, it is what it is. But welcome. I'm so excited to finally be doing this. This video is going to be basically a kind of whole long story about the process of last year, moving out of our apartment, moving into a van, traveling in the van, like fully living in it, how that process has been, and then just living in different Airbnbs, you know, painting, doing Tom's work, just all that stuff. So kind of just a little recap of the last year because so much happened last year. Like it was actually crazy year. So with this channel, I want it to be a compilation of my art process, you know, our travels, like van life, kind of how that is, maybe some vlogs here and there. I also want to try to experiment with some documentary style videos because I feel like it'd be really fun to just kind of try to do something deep and artsy with my camera. So we'll see. It's just kind of going to be like a creative avenue for everything. So a new creative avenue. Before I get started on this specific video, kind of just a little bit of a rundown of like who I am. So obviously my name is Piper. I am an artist, full-time artist. I do film photography, oil painting, and also design and film work for my partner Tom, which I'll get into in a second. I went to the University of Texas. I got a fine arts degree there, and then it kind of took me a little bit to figure out where I was going with it, but once I met Tom, he really encouraged me to pick back up my camera again, start painting, and then kind of here I am now actually fully fulfilling my dream of being an artist. And I actually just finished my first really big oil painting, which I'm super excited about because that's the direction I want to go with my art, just kind of as a whole, is to have oil paintings just be my main thing. And then I still have my photography on the side. I have some video work that I want to do here and all that stuff. So I'm really hyped for that. My partner Tom is a recipe developer and content creator. He posts on Instagram and TikTok and I mean every social media. His name is Stealth Health Life. So basically he makes macro friendly foods, like low calorie, high protein, really good for you type food. And he has developed a whole career with that, from posting videos on the internet to selling digital cookbooks and all that stuff. So I help him design his cookbooks, I help him film the videos, and that's what allows us to be remote and just kind of do what we do. So it's really cool to have the opportunity to work wherever, and it's because of, you know, both of our jobs kind of being us being our own bosses. So before I get started, I just want to do a quick little warning. So I wasn't planning on making this video at all whenever I, you know, was going through the process of last year. So all the clips I have are going to be vertical. I'm sorry about that ahead of time. I know that it's annoying, but at least, you know, you get it's a little visual journal is what it is. It's not going to be anything deep, cinematic, you know, anything like that. It's just a visual journal. So yeah, sorry for the annoyance there, but it'll be fun. We'll go through it together. So this time last year, which is like end of March, beginning of April, we moved out of our apartment and moved stuff into storage, or we kept it with us with the intention of eventually moving into our van. At the time, the van wasn't ready yet, so we were living in different Airbnbs up until the van was ready. But the process of moving stuff out of our apartment was wild. We had to basically set 3 designated piles, one being van, one being storage, and then one being, you know, throwaway / donate, kind of all that stuff. So we did that, which was a very long process, very just mentally hard, you know, kind of going through everything. And then for me, it's like I go into a closet, I'm going through a bag, I find an old journal, I find something, you know, you start reading, you start going through things, and it takes so much longer than you think. I'm also a hoarder. I'm just so emotional and I just keep everything. So there's so much in the storage unit that I ended up keeping that I probably will get rid of whenever the time comes to go through that. But it was actually really cool though, kind of going down memory lane and doing all that. So after we moved out of our apartment, we started our Airbnb journey. We were in like 6 or so Airbnbs until we moved into the van. But this was wild though, because we were supposed to only have with us the stuff that we wanted to move into the van, but it could barely fit into 2 cars. We had my car, Tom's car, and they're both like filled to the brim with all this stuff. And Tom and I are not really like organized, so I mean, trying to find stuff was so hectic. Like, I'm like, I don't know if it's in my car, his car, the random like Trader Joe's back at the bottom of the back seat, my car, you know, we don't know where anything is. So that was definitely quite the time. So we lived like that for a few months, just moving to different Airbnbs, kind of juggling all of our stuff. And then finally came the time that the van was ready. A quick shout out to Dave at Austin Van Works for building our van and really bringing our creative dreams to life. I mean, we had these dreams of what we wanted, and he truly is such an artist. It is beautiful. So thank you so much, Dave. We owe you everything and we love you so much. So on July 6th of last year, we took off in our van. We left with my sister and her boyfriend. They were in his 4Runner traveling along with us. Our goal that day was to drive from Austin to Flagstaff on no sleep while making extremely long stops. I don't know why we did that. It was honestly very chaotic. We ended up getting there super late. We were like, what are we doing? Where are we? When we finally got to the camp spot around like 3 a.m. So that day was a little bit of a blur. To be honest, we don't have much footage from that day because of that. But the next day we woke up and we decided, you know what, like we pushed it a little bit too hard. So instead of driving all the way to California from Flagstaff, let's just play it a little easy, drive right outside of Las Vegas. So we did. We found a really cool camp spot on this cool little like hill mountain thing outside of Las Vegas. It really looked like Joshua Tree, just desert vibes, really cool colors. We showed up at night, we camped there, the stars were beautiful. It was just a nice reset after the chaos that we had had the first day of just driving out on basically no sleep. And then we set off to our favorite place, the Eastern Sierra. So Tom and I went to the Eastern Sierra a lot, or we've been there a lot. Our first ever van trip was actually there, just by chance. We actually wanted to go to Yosemite. There was a fire there at the time, so we were like, okay, let's just go up 395 and kind of just see what happens. And it was the best thing that ever happened to us, just exploring that whole area over there. It will always remain a special place in my heart. We wanted our first experience in our van being in the Eastern Sierra, so we took off there, Sutton and Jaden. We ended up getting there kind of early afternoon. We went straight to one of our favorite lakes, jumped in there, swam around, had a really good time. And then we went to our favorite spot to camp, which is on some public land out after we did that. And the sunset that night was beautiful. The colors of the sage, it's just like everything's so vibrant, so expansive, so inspiring. And the cows too, there's like a lot of cows out there. So we were really just in heaven out there. It's just so beautiful. The next day we woke up and went to a really good coffee shop, one of my favorite coffee shops out there. And then we kind of proceeded to just like vibe over the next few days, like jump into lakes, do some hikes, camp in really cool spots, just all of the kind of the summer and the mountain energy. It was just like so amazing. And Tom and I were also just kind of adjusting like, okay, how do we live in the van? And it was just honestly such the perfect like, you know, entry experience to being in our van full time. It was just so amazing to be out there with my sister and just fully experience what it's like to be present, be in nature. So we really enjoyed that. The last night that we were there, we ended up going back to the same spot, camping there, having a beautiful sunset, eating some good food, listening to music, just joking around. Sutton's boyfriend, Jaden, he, for some reason, had this like massive cloud of bugs that literally were just above him. Nobody else. Every time he'd move, they would follow him. So we were laughing about that. It was such a good time. I'm so thankful for those memories. They'll just remain in my heart forever. So quick little side note, we have a cat named Ivy, and we got her a few years ago and she was a kitten. And when we first got her, I like leash trained her. I took her outside a lot just because I wanted her to be adjusted and used to being outside. And in case we moved into a van eventually, which we ended up obviously doing. and that helped her a lot. She adjusted really fast. She loves hunting bugs, watching sunsets, running around, playing in the dirt. It's honestly very wholesome to see her so happy, and her loving this lifestyle so quickly was a huge surprise to me because she hates cars with a passion. She will not get in a car. But with the van, it was just different. She immediately took to the van. Well, I wouldn't say immediately. We tried to put her in the van as like exposure therapy, you know, before we left. She hated being in it until we took it somewhere fun, and then she liked it. So it wasn't an instant like, oh wow, she loves it even when it's just parked outside of the house. But once sleeping in it, knowing that she's eating in it, and knowing that she can hunt bugs like all the time, just when we have doors open at a campsite, she got so hyped. So I'm very happy that she's adjusted so well. So after that, we went up to Oregon, and I'm not going to touch on this too much, but we were camping near Bend one night, had a little bit of a situation that just kind of made us more aware of our surroundings. So we were like, okay, you know what, like we're still adjusting to this lifestyle. Tom had just gotten stuff to cook. Like we hadn't even cooked in the van yet. It was just kind of a big mess. So we were like, let's just go back down to the Sierra to kind of ground, reset. Being in the Sierra was honestly so needed, and it was a really good time to get used to actually living in this vehicle full time. On the road back, we saw this beautiful sunset, just gorgeous colors. We saw a rainbow. We got back to the Sierra and we did the same kind of thing, you know, jumped in lakes. We went on some hikes, just enjoyed the air there, just so fresh and so beautiful, and just the magic of being in that area. And continued to also pursue our interests. I was taking a lot of film photos. Tom was doing some cooking. Saw my first bear, and then I proceeded to see like a lot more bears like later on this summer, which I'll touch on. But it was just honestly so magical and really needed. So I'm really thankful for that time. And then we had a funny moment where one night we decided we wanted to camp on top of a hill. So we were driving, and as we were driving, the van tires just slid off the side of the road, and we were hanging over this hill. And we were in a situation where we literally just couldn't do anything about it. Like there was nothing that we could do. I'm telling Tom to hit the gas, hit reverse. It's just digging a hole that's deeper. And at this point, sunset was literally just creeping on us. Like the sun was coming down. And I don't know what to do. So I get out of the van and I just walk into the middle of the road. And this is like basically a road up a hill. So it's kind of a winding, thin road. And all of a sudden out of nowhere, this Jeep with a winch on the front comes up the road. And I just flag these people down and I'm like, listen, like we need help. I don't know if you can help us, but our car is stuck. Like, please, you know. And they were the coolest couple, coolest people. Get out of their car. They literally assessed the situation. The guy, his Jeep was literally made for this. Like it's honestly wild that they just came in that one moment. He, you know, tied whatever to whatever and was able to actually get us out of that spot. And we had already had kind of a rough day leading up to that point. So if we had been stuck there, that would have been just like the cherry on top. Like, okay, I guess we're just gonna accept this. And I don't know what we would have done. So thank you guys so much. If you're watching, we owe you everything because you saved us on like a really rough moment. So thank you. And then after that, my dad came. So a quick little side note, my family and we all used to go camping whenever we were younger. Our family vacations were always in the summer and always like in an RV. So that's where my love for all this kind of originated, were those family hiking trips, camping trips in the RV. It was honestly so wholesome and such a good time. So this past spring, I was actually thinking about it and I was like, you know, my dad, he never takes trips for himself. He's always working really hard. Like, why don't I just invite him out to join us? Like, I was so excited. So he rented his own van, comes out, we meet him in Tahoe, which is one of his favorite places on earth. So it was really cool to meet him there. And the first night we started off at this campground, one of my favorite in Tahoe. It is just so beautiful there, lush pine trees. Like the smell of the pine is just so vibrant, so fragrant. Immediately when we got there, we made espresso. So if you don't know my dad, well, first of all, he's iconic. Tony is iconic. We all love Tony. But second of all, his personality is basically just espresso. He loves espresso, he roasts his own beans, and I actually made this little logo for him back in the day for his little coffee company, and he brought some of that with him. So the first thing we did was we pull up to the campground, we make some espresso. Tom and my dad are sitting out smoking cigars, chatting, having a really good time. It was so grounding and just so amazing to finally have my dream come true of him traveling. The next day we woke up really early. We drove to a trailhead of a hike that Tom and I had actually done before. The first summer that we were in the van, first summer we were in a rental van, and it was so cool. So we made breakfast and coffee at the trailhead. I had my dad walk Ivy and then we started on our hike. So the hike was very long, a lot of elevation gain, but through beautiful forest, up like a boulder field. It was so beautiful. It was also extremely hot, but you know, we were from Texas, so we were used to it. We got to the top. I had a beautiful view of Lake Tahoe, Emerald Bay, and all that stuff. The view coming down was beautiful as always. Those big trees, oh, it was amazing. So that night we were very tired. We literally just got to the campground, like, you know, ate some food and went to bed. Next day we woke up, we went to the base of Lake Tahoe. We swam in those crystal clear waters. It was just so magical over there. And then after that, we went back to the Sierra and did the same thing that we had done with Sutton and Jaden, also with, you know, just Tom and I whenever we went back after Oregon. So visiting lakes, you know, like hiking around. My dad and I did this really beautiful hike one day on one of the last days that he was there. And it was such a awesome moment just to be with him, just me and him, talking, laughing, sharing memories, sharing, you know, our own like life philosophy. It was, I mean, I have no words. It was just so special. After the hike, we went back to camp in one of our favorite spots, and just seeing him doing something as simple as like taking a video of the sunset, you know, he's just experiencing it for the first time, and it was just so beautiful to just truly be present and experience like the healing energy of nature and how beautiful of an impact it has on our souls. It was just amazing. The last night we went back to the same place we started. We reflected on all the memories of the trip. We cooked some really good food and, you know, had a really emotional goodbye because it was just such a beautiful time and so meaningful to be with him. So I'm just so grateful that you came. If you're watching, Dad, thank you so much for just sharing that experience with me. And I'm so excited for this year, and I love you so much. And then after that, Tom and I went up to Carmel because we had to get a few packages delivered. We visited one of my friends, Hannah. Her family lives near the area, so we visited them, saw them. They're always such a good time to hang out with them. They're basically like my second family because I went to school at the University of Texas in Austin, and they were always in Austin visiting, and we just developed such a good relationship. So I love them so much. And that's the really cool thing about this lifestyle. It's just you get to visit people, and you know, the world feels a little bit smaller because people are just a drive away, and then you're right in their backyard, and it's so cool. So we really enjoyed seeing them. We were fortunate enough to have them keep our van and Ivy while we went actually to visit Tom's family over in Ireland. So Tom's parents had a honeymoon in Ireland however many years ago. I honestly don't remember, but this was a little anniversary trip where we were visiting the places that they had been, experiencing new places, and just truly embracing the beautiful country for what it is. I mean, it's so lush, it's so beautiful, it's so green, and really just inspires a very like present, slow lifestyle, especially like out in the countryside. So being out there was such a beautiful experience, and I'm so thankful that they planned that trip and that we were able to go. It was awesome. So thank you guys. And then after that, we came back to our van. So it's a little bit different, you know, coming back from an international vacation and just showing up to a car and that being your home. Like, you can't throw your suitcase in the corner and like not unpack for a week just because, you know, you're tired, jet lagged and all that stuff. So we literally got back to the van, and I mean, we did that. We threw our stuff everywhere. And then we were just like living in this like moving chaos vehicle for like, I don't even remember how many days, but we had to go up to Washington. So we were just driving like that. And to be honest, it definitely was stressful. It was the first time coming back to the van after a big trip. And so that's definitely an adjustment, like having to make sure that you keep the area clean because it's such a small space. But we finally did clean it on one of the last nights that we had before we went to Canada. So on our island trip, we met this wonderful girl who is Canadian. We met her on a boat one day and we started talking and she was like, you have to go to Canada. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's really cold up there. I mean, it's already like end of August, beginning of September. There's ice. And she was like, I don't know why all Americans think that, you know, once you hit the border of Washington and Canada, there's just immediate ice. Like, it's like the same temperature as Washington, basically, like near Vancouver. And she was like, just go up there. Like, you're gonna enjoy it so much. She gave us amazing recommendations and we did, and literally owe so much to her because that whole experience would have not happened unless we met her. So the first night we were there, we camped at a campground that she recommended. It was along the water. There were beautiful mountains in the back just lining the perimeter. And it was just such a beautiful experience. Like, honestly, one of my favorite nights in the van, like, ever. Just finally had the van clean. We were making food, sitting by the water. I was walking Ivy. She was really enjoying it. And we had such a beautiful sunset that night. And it was such an amazing experience being there, being grounded again, feeling calm again, and just really embracing the van for what it is. And yeah, it was so beautiful. The next day, we went to our Airbnb and we were there for a month. So this kind of starts our Airbnb journey where Tom and I realized it's like, okay, you know, for what we do with our jobs, it makes sense to split time between the van and Airbnbs, because in Airbnbs, I can fully, you know, let loose and I can paint. In the van, it's hard because I have to set everything up. It takes long to dry. And we also have Ivy and I don't want her to get into that. So having an Airbnb for that is extremely helpful. And also for Tom, being able to develop recipes that require a lot of space, a lot of freezer space. I mean, we got a big fridge and freezer in our van, but this was whenever he was developing recipes for his slow cooker book. So I had over 100 meals, and I'm not joking. Like, we actually had over 100 meals in that freezer by the end. So this was a really good spot for us to fully dive into that. It was awesome too to just kind of take a deep breath and like reset. Ivy loved it too, but she still wanted to be outside. As you can see, she was dragging her harness to me. After that month, we went back down to Austin. So we kind of took a really cool route. I booked some hip camps just because I wanted to try it out. So we stayed on a farm one morning, woke up with cows. We stayed in the Tetons, which is really cool. Came down, saw Tom's family that were in Jackson Hole, so that was awesome. Again, like, it's great seeing people on the road. Then we went back to Austin, we saw some friends, we went to ACL, and that was just a really good time to be back and see everybody. And then after that, we went to the Southwest, which was like one of my favorite portions of last year altogether. We started off in Taos, and we stayed at a really cool hip camp that was a short walk to the gorge there. And Taos is just magical. The sagebrush, the color of the light, the gorge, everything just feels so surreal. That first night was so awesome to be back out there, be back traveling in the van again. Like, it just felt so good to finally be on the road. And then we went to Sedona, and so we were in Sedona, we were doing the same thing where we were, you know, working on our stuff. So Tom was working on a slow cooker book, which I was too. Like, I was helping him film and design the book. And then I was also developing the ideas for my first oil painting, which at this point is already done. So you guys have probably seen it if you follow me. But at that time I was feeling the inspiration. I was, you know, kind of drawing, I was journaling. That area is just so cool, like just so magnetic out there and energetic that it just really puts you in such a cool state. Whenever we were there, we literally did not eat out once because we were just eating all of Tom's food. We were working during the day. In the evening, we go out to a hike to watch the sunset over the Red Rock. see all the colors. It was just beautiful. The shadows are so beautiful there, and the rock just looks like it's on fire. It's just so red and so bright. So that was one of my favorite stays, just being immersed in that environment. And in general, I'm just more introverted. I love to be alone. I love to get into my art and get into what inspires me and like just really go deep in. And so that time was just so, it was amazing. I love being able to be in the zone. So after that, we were on our way back to Austin. But before we came back to Austin, we stopped by Monument Valley because it had been a dream of mine to go out there and see those beautiful rock formations in real life. And it did not disappoint. I mean, the light was so insane, the color so insane. You could just feel the energy from the place just in your body and in your soul. And we actually got to ride horses out there, which was really cool. If you know me personally, you know I used to ride horses from the time I was 4 until I graduated high school. So horses mean a lot to me. And being out there in that environment with the horses was just, it was an experience that I can't describe. I was so thankful for that experience and everything about that place. And then we had the cookbook sprint. So this was a long period of us just filming so many recipes, taking photos, designing the book, and then like the last night before it was released, it was Tom, me, and then Sean, Tom's friend who works with Tom. We pulled an all-nighter to finish that thing, but it was finally finished, finally done, finally posted at the end of December. And it just felt so cool to see that come to life, be a part of that whole process. And yeah, I'm so proud of Tom for that accomplishment. And that brings us to where we are now. So it's been a crazy year. It truly has taught me so many life lessons. I think the biggest one is just impermanence of all things, truly surrendering yourself to knowing that everything is impermanent allows you to be present in that moment and truly embrace the people you're around, embrace the area you're around, embrace that experience, because you don't know how long you're going to be there for. You don't know how those people are going to be here for. It really has changed how I view the day-to-day, and I'm so thankful for the ability to be out there and to learn it and to hopefully share it and inspire others to truly soak everything up in that one moment you're in and to the best of your ability, because nothing is guaranteed in this life, and continuing to embrace that and know that is the way to true present happiness. Thank you so much for being here and for listening to me just go on about last year. It really means so much to have you a part of this journey, and I am so excited to be releasing more videos in the future and to have this as a new just creative outlet and avenue. I'm sending all the good energy to every one of you. Thank you so much for watching and have a beautiful day. Bye.